Well, hello, friends, and welcome to From Busy to Rich, the podcast designed to inspire advisors to increase their profitability and quality of life for them and those they serve. I'm Justin Lydick, and with me, as always, Wes Young. Today, we're going to invite you on to some topics that have really been coming up frequently, not just within our team and with clients, but really just a lot of different circles. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity to just have some dialogue with you all and bring you into the conversation. Specifically, one of the ones that just actually came up today. So, Wes, give us a little context about what that is, and then kind of give an idea what that topic is for our conversation.
Absolutely. So this actually really culminated in a meeting. Stephanie, who's on our team, she's been with us almost 2 decades. She and I taught a class on like a tool that we use to manage our task, manage the client experience, make sure we're keeping things in process the way they need to be. But before, as I was thinking about the best way to teach it, before I gave everybody what we use and how we use it, I spent a bunch of time up front giving them why we use it. Because here's what I believe about this is priorities, tools, standards of excellence. They all should be a byproduct of the game you're trying to play and not the other way around. And most of the time, what I've observing a lot of lives of advisors and leaders and having great people on the show is that most people in life have not taken the time to design the game they want to play. And as a result, live the life that they want to live. And because here's what happens is usually we inherit a game. We inherit standards, we inherit processes, procedures, ways of doing things. And many, many times, and I've experienced this in my own life, and I know we'll talk more about this with you and with Cody, is the question I get from a lot of advisors, listen, I just don't like the way things are going. Or maybe if it's a team member, they're like, I don't feel like things are going well. Things are rough. I feel overwhelmed. I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel happy, whatever that might be. And most of the time, my common, and you guys have heard me say this on the podcast before, but we're going to take this deeper is my response is, well, okay, what would things have to be like? What would have to happen in your day, in your month, in your year, in your week, in order for you to feel like things were going great? Like what is a game that you would enjoy playing? And what's it look like to win that game? So as I taught this to these advisors, here's how I started out. I said, look, guys, we're gonna spend a bunch of time going into the tool that we're going to talk about today. But what I want to tell you is that this tool is simply a byproduct of the game we want to play most and the direction that we're trying to go to win this game. And for us, the win organizationally is we want to help inspire people to increase their profitability and their quality of life. And for us in our specific niche, while we would love to do that in every area, and because we think all areas of life touch, what that means to us is in our effort to get the most out of life, it's easy to live a margin-less life. And in so doing, miss out on some of the things that actually matter most in life. So big part of our strategy, as you know, Justin, we work predominantly with people that own businesses, highly compensated corporate executives. And when we meet them, they've already done a bunch of cool stuff most of the time. I'd say at least 50%. And they've got great advisors, technical, good advisors that are part of their team. Maybe the other half, they're a little less accomplished in that area. They've been super successful in whatever business they're in, but they haven't done a lot in the areas we tend to bring in a bunch of value. But here's the one thing all of them have in common, and this is true of everyone listening today. All of them have far more things they're trying to get accomplished than they have time to get to everything. So in their effort to get to as much as they can, there's always a ton of stuff that's left undone. And sometimes it's stuff they're aware of. Quite often, it's stuff, and this is what's a lot of fun for us, they're not aware of it, that if they were made aware, it would dramatically increase their profitability and their quality of life. And that's really where we come in. Our role and how we play the game to get to that win is we ask them a whole bunch of questions on the onset of the relationship to try and figure out where are you from a financial standpoint in the story you're in. And in what future are you trying to create? And many, many times helping them wrap that future in language. Because once we're made aware of those things and their renewed mind and clear on those things, we'd have a ton of great conversations around the areas of planning we specialize in that most useful to what they're trying to accomplish and go from there. So the big idea behind today is we want to flip that back around onto us, the advisor, because if we were to sit and ask you today, where are you at? Like in your business right now, how's your business made up? Who do you have working with you? What revenue do you make? What kind of assets do you have? What's your family situation? What is the advisors that are part of your life right now? All those kind of level sets of where are you now? And then what future do you actually want to create? What game do you want to win at? What does the future look like if 3 years from today you said, Wes, this is a rich life. I love what we do day in, day out. Because then we can get really, really specific about the tools you need to have, the standards you need to use, the priorities that need to be put in place in order to navigate that gap between where we are and where we want to be. So I thought it'd be just a super fun idea today to kind of tease this thing out and talk about some of the common things that we see that really cause people to one, my objective is I don't want you to win at a game that you don't like. And I think because most of us inherit a game to play, we inherit processes and procedures to play it, that oftentimes you can be really excellent at the game that you're playing, and you can be really excellent even winning the game that you've inherited, but it wasn't a game you even enjoy playing. It's kind of like in the NFL. If they are the rules for the NFL, how to win a game in the NFL, those people have processes, procedures, plays that they use. And if you're an NBA player and you're trying to win the same game that an NFL player is trying to live, you're not going to enjoy the game. In fact, you're going to get thrown out because you're going to be tackling people that have the ball, and bad things are going to occur. And it really is like that when it comes to the advisor game. There's so many games you can play, and so I always feel like we should regularly address this stuff and talk about it. And we're going to do a series of these, but I really feel like the game you want to play is one of the most important things you can delve into in order to live a life of quality and a life of higher profitability, not just for yourself, but all those that are a part of your journey with you.
Yeah, I really love this topic because it hits so close to home, regardless of what you're doing, and really across all industries. So some of you listening may not be in the advisor role, like it still applies. Because first and foremost, like when you treat it as a game, it's different. Right? Like games are exciting and fun. Like unless you just don't like the game that you're in, then you need to switch games altogether. Yeah. But being able to find a way that you're creating a game out of something that's working towards the goals that you have clearly defined is huge, right? It is a game changer, right? Pun intended there. It's just timely because when I think of like extreme examples of people, addressing something in a game fashion at a high level. We just went through the Olympics, right? Olympics 2024 just finished for those of you listening, depending on when you're listening to this. 2024 Olympics, phenomenal. New world records broken. You want to talk about watching people perform physically at the highest level within their different realm. Like it was incredible to watch. But no matter what, with all the success of 2024, several memes that came out of that were not like people doing really, really well. It was people that were playing the wrong game or how they were playing. It was just not the standards of excellence for that. One in particular, I think about, there was a break dancer, like as part of this Olympics, which clearly isn't going to be invited back apparently for the ones in Los Angeles, in 2028. It's kind of unfortunate, but they were playing a completely different game, or how they were playing it according to the standards of excellence just was not a good fit. Like, so they either had to adapt and create some new clarity around that. And I know we're going to talk about it, but how critical it is to have a clarity around the game that you're playing and that you're in the right one. Because maybe what they were doing is great in a different sport, right? Like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I love that. And what it makes me think about is this, and here's a good way I think to set this up and then get some real practical stuff here. All of us, as we've said, are going to run out of time before we run out of all the opportunities to spend time. You just will. We're finite people in a world of unlimited things that we can spend time doing things. And the tricky part is in our effort to get the most out of life, we are going to live a marginless life and quite often miss out on playing the game that matters most to us in life because we're just trying to do and do and do. the way I think about this, and I believe this is at the human heart, is all of us want things to be better. We want things to be better tomorrow than they are today. We want today to be better than yesterday. You can't help it. We always say it's where faith
Yeah.
lives. Faith is the substance
Sure.
of things we're hoping for, the evidence of things we've not yet seen. And what I love about that is when you want a better future, that involves saying, I want to win. And because better, your win is better. The
Mhm.
tricky part is if you allow yourself to inherit that win, maybe that isn't really better for you. But if you take time to decide the win, if you say, hey, look, here is an exciting vision, and maybe you're not the type that's just wired to create a bunch of visionary future, but go team up with someone who you like the future that they're designing. Hey, this is a game that I would love to win at because where they're going, I want to be a part of that, which is really, really powerful. And it actually manufactures the energy that you need to do hard things because every game you play involves some aspects that require suffering, require struggle, require you to do something that you wouldn't do unless you had that objective, that win in mind, that ultimately is exciting enough for you to want to do the things necessary. And it can actually make those things fun it gives you a good kind of energy for them. The tricky part here is you can also have that vision, and we know plenty of, we've got great examples of this, and you are excited about winning that game, but you're not enjoying playing the game. And that can be a byproduct of a couple things. Because again, as I was talking to a good friend of mine this week, who's he's really just trying to redesign the game. And he's like, I'm experiencing pushback with my team. I'm experiencing even burnout myself in just what we're doing. It feels like Groundhog Day over and over again. And that was fun at first, and now it's not fun. And really, I said, well, I think it's a couple things. I said, one, have you for your team designed that exciting vision? And he's like, well, no, we really haven't talked about that in a while. And I said, well, that's really important. I said, you've got to take time to say, here's where our team is going to go if we're winning. Here's what we are going to try and achieve and accomplish together and the impact that's going to make to the clients we're serving, to the families that are a part of those clients, and to all of our families in the process. Because a couple of things occur. One is if you're clear about where you want to go and you're clear about, and again, you can be wrong, you can iterate it and evolve it, and you should. But if you've got at least, which you can't have certainty, but you can absolutely have clarity, and then share that with everybody. And then here's the thing: if you have people on your team, and and your win is not something they get excited about, in essence, it's not a game they're interested in winning. You would rather know now, and you'd rather them know now, because it's okay for them not to want to play your game. It's okay for an NBA player not to want to win a football game because they are just not in a position, the way they've structured themselves, to want to win that kind of game because it's just not the game that they want to play. I also think then we back that down because there's the other side of it is the energy we use to navigate it. Vision is good because it gives us if it's a game we want to play, it gives us energy to overcome hard things. But also, if I'm not careful, if that's the only thing I have, the only type of energy, I can find myself, they call it being on the hedonic treadmill, where I am always trying to get to that next place. But the tricky part is once you get there, there's another over there.
Yeah.
And that's not bad, okay? Because people are like, so, well, I guess I just got to be content with where I am. Contentment has nothing to do with the absence of ambition. You can only take so many vacations and celebrate so much before that's not even fun anymore. It should be a part of the journey. It should be a season in the journey. But you get, we've had an incredible year and we are celebrating that year together, but we are not without another, hey, now we're going to go over here. And people are excited about it. We want to do that. But here's what I think is the other component that's so critical. And I want to spend a little time on this and then kind of bring all these things together, is you also have to have a grateful condition, meaning the grateful condition allows you to enjoy where you are on your way to where you're going when the exciting vision doesn't allow that. Because oftentimes the exciting vision creates this gap of, we got to get there, and I'll do this hard thing. It gives me energy for it. But to really have joy as you're doing that hard thing, not just being on the other side of the hard thing, you also have to have a great expression of looking back and saying, okay, what are John Acuff, episode 101, you guys can go back and listen to it if you haven't yet. He actually has a great exercise in his book, All You Need Is a Goal. And in that book, he talks about it. You need to develop your greatest moments list. I've heard this concept in a couple different ways, but like a decade behind list is one thing where you go back and you say, all right, what are all the things that if I was to create my highlight reel up to this point, and maybe you pick it's a decade in the past, maybe go shorter or longer, whatever. What were the things that lit me up? I'm so appreciative that happened. I'm so excited about that happening. And it's basically a gratitude list is what it is. It gives you gratitude on the one hand, because you're super grateful that those things occurred. If you were to go back, Justin, and tell the 10-year younger version of yourself, hey, all these things are going to happen in the next 10 years in your life, if they're on your highlight list, you would be super excited. You'd be super grateful, super happy. And the reason we're not is because we are so ready to get to the next thing. We don't take time to focus on where we are in light of where we come from. So you're measuring the the gain. The Gap in the Gain book kind of does this in a different way, but you're measuring the gains that you've made to this point. And the other thing it does is give you extraordinary confidence for what's possible. Because that 10-year younger version of yourself, if you were to tell all these cool things are going to happen, you'd feel like, man, I didn't even believe that was possible at the time. So imagine what's possible now. So thoughts on that?
Well, I just also think it serves as the determining filter for when you talk about vision and clarity. Because you even talked about we inherit stuff, society has pressures on it. We talk with clients that you want to ask them about what retirement looks like. And a lot of them just throw stuff at you that you might as well read it off of some social media post or the news or something that was imprinted, right? So you've got, however old you are, if you're 40 years old, you have 40 years of data to look back on what actually adds value and excitement and energy to my life versus just looking outside. So it's look at others from a model standpoint and use looking back at the last 10 years of seeing how much growth is is there potentially. And then use that filter of talking about the exercise from John Acuff's book of determining, all right, is this how I've defined this vision, this really clear vision of what's possible? Because I want $1 billion and I want it to look like this. Well, I can look back on my life, back on that list and say, is that really going to add value? Because it's going to get hard at some point and I'm going to need some energy to push towards something and it's got to be worthwhile for me. And I already have some history to look back on to know it, that versus just creating a fantasy about something. Because I know me personally, I've created a lot of fantasies and I've achieved them and then found out, I don't really like this.
Right.
Talking about even in the business, I came in, I got this model of how I was supposed to do things and felt like I was doing and was, winning as defined by the rules that were given to me. I felt kind of like the breakdancer, right? I'm doing things here within these frameworks, but I'm not this isn't how I want to keep doing things. This isn't actually what I want. And so I had to look around for other options of examples of what could be possible.
Yeah.
And then tie it back into the filter of what do I know for me and how I have to do things that have to be a part of my life for it to be an exciting thing and to be able to maintain a grateful condition through that process.
Yeah. Yeah. And, sometimes it's even if it's as long as it's a short-term gain that, leads you to put you in a place where you can play the next level long-term game, you can do that for a while and you're even willing to. But it's if you don't have another long-term game to play and you just keep playing the same game over and over again, you repeat your first year in this career 10 times, in other words, and you're burned out. And I mean, nobody sets out to go, what I really want to do is in this business, I want to play every single role that is required inside. I want to be the lead advisor, the project manager, the paraplanner. I want to be the administrative person, the one who answers the phone, takes care of the service. But when if you start single and hang your own shingle by yourself, that you are all those things, and you can do them poorly, I would say, for a while as you're building yourself to another place. Now, I do think there's other entry points, and we certainly talk about how our group roles and what we require to get there. But you need to decide what is my exciting vision, and then help use that grateful condition to both say, hey, what have we done in the past that helps inform me as to what kind of how I like to play the game going forward in the future. Great work on this, which we've referenced a few times in Arthur Brooks' work, who is a behavioral psychologist that studies the art and science of happiness. And it really coincides with a lot of the stuff we're talking about here. But he always talks about the three, as you're looking back, there are three things that are the micronutrients of happiness: enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. Enjoyment being that thing that is, it's not just how you feel. So he always asks the students, hey, what is happiness? And they're like, oh, it's when I feel happy. It's when I feel. He goes, no, it's wrong. He said, because it's like they associate feelings with the actual things. Kind of like if you smell the turkey cooking on Thanksgiving, and that's the feeling that you get. It's equivalent to feelings, but you would never substitute the smell for the actual turkey, for eating the turkey.
Right.
It just wouldn't make any sense. And by the way, you could also, the reason a lot of people are so happy and love Thanksgiving is because you then get to tie the pleasure of eating the actual turkey, not just smelling it, number one, but with other people, and you create memories as a result. So actual enjoyment is the process of memories, which is what, when you look back on your highlight reel, your best moments reel, many, many times, it's like you're reflecting on memories of things that were just amazing. Now, it's also can incorporate other things like satisfaction in those memories, meaning you had to overcome something hard. You worked really hard for something, and you wanted to get in prime physical condition, so you spent a lot of time doing things that were not pleasurable in the moment, right? You worked out, you ate things that you could have ate this other thing, or didn't drink that other thing that you could have drank. But as a result, you achieved this thing that you're like, that was fulfilling, that deal. That's a memory. That's a highlight reel on one of those things. Also meaning, which is that's family, friends, and work that matters to others. So it's like, what many times when you look back at your highlight reel, these are all going to be components of things that you see. And what I love is then you were like, one, you're super grateful. So it's a different kind of fuel for the vision that you're trying to move forward. It helps inherit that vision, that game that you're going to play, or inform the vision you're going to play going forward. And actually then tweak that next level, because as you know, one of the things we do regularly, and this is so that if there's a game plan for today, here's what I would give everybody. And we're going to keep diving into this as we go through the series, but you have to start with, what is the game you would like to play? And maybe to help you define that, you go back in time and you say, all right, to create my grateful condition that's going to help me inform what game do I actually want to win at? Looking back in my life, what's my highlight reel? What is the decade behind things I'm super proud of that meant the most to me, that was meaningful, provided enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning? Because man, if I could play a game that those constant things were present, I'm going to have a lot of happiness. Again, doesn't mean adversity's not there. Doesn't mean you don't overcome hard things. Things don't go sideways. But you start with that, and then you say, now in light of that, does this game that we're talking about winning at, is it one I want to win? And does it matter enough to me to want to do the hard things that I know are going to be a result, because they were a result of the other things I did? So defining that is critically important. So I would recommend everybody take the minute, write out your best moments list, write out your decade behind. How old are you right now? How old is your spouse? How old are your kids, if you have them? And then write out all their ages 10 years ago, or they may not even existed 10 years ago for some of you. And then in the middle, give us your best moments. Give us the things that lit you up, that provided the most enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. And make that list, because it's going to be a critical component to what's next, which is, in light of that, what do you want to win at over the next 3 years? I love 3 years because it's far enough out to where it gives you the ability to dream a little bit. It's also close enough to where it's like tangibly real, where you can say, okay, 3 years from today, what's a rich life look? If I said, man, I am winning at the game of life 3 years from today in all the areas I care about, relationally, professionally, financially, physically, spiritually, what does that look like? Because all those things touch. Am I excited about that in light of my history? That is the starting point. From that, Justin, this is what we're going to talk about next week. The standards of operation to get there are going to become really clear, and you're going to sift through the universe of hundreds of thousands of things that could possibly fit in the ladder that you're going to have to climb to accomplish that.
Yeah, there's a lot to chew on there. Well, hopefully all you listening really enjoyed that as much as we did. Obviously, it's a passionate topic for us. I think it's just so relevant from a time standpoint with us, with the clients that we serve, and just in the nature of everything that's going on, helping to people identify like what really matters in terms of that, and then how do we go after it. And that's, I know as we progress in this series, that's what we'll start diving into too, is as we design clarity and those sorts of things, what are the practical things that you can do to actually go after it, right? Like how do you turn that into a specific goal and measurable things that you can actually go after and achieve? And it's not just a idea of what is possible. It's something that becomes, as John talks about in his book, something that becomes a guaranteed goal is how he referred to it. So how do we help guarantee the success in those things? So Wes, I'll let you close it out and then have some references for our listeners today.
Yeah. So again, a lot of times the reason we're not enjoying where we are in a way to where we're going is because we've never defined where we want to go if we're winning, and we've inherited it, and we've, as a byproduct, inherited the process, procedures, standards to getting us there. So define it for yourself. Don't do life by design, not by default, because most people are going to do life by default, and that's why they're not living the kind of life that they would be most proud of.
That's awesome. Again, I encourage you guys to go to wesyounglive.com. There are a ton of additional resources. We've now broken over 100 episodes, which is an exciting metric for us. Going back to an example of, a vision for something that's possible, having not done it before. And here we are, a couple years in and 100 episodes. It's amazing what just being committed to that and getting going and moving on it can really accomplish. So I encourage you, go check out some of the other episodes, and there's additional resources there. And we'd love to hear your feedback. So I encourage you to leave a review on whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you're using, or even on our website. If you want to leave a review, we'd love to hear from you, comments, thoughts, or even other topics from a consideration standpoint that you'd like us to engage in. And if you're really feeling excited, then I'd love to hear, just as you walk through that exercise, what are some of the win memories for you? If you're willing to share that, we'd love to hear from you. Email info@wesyounglive.com. Thank you all again for listening, and we enjoyed having you.